bravery is just sometimes the hardest. Being authentic seems like it's kind of more natural and easy.
Hey there, my name is Dr. Beth Russell, and I want to know, what would you do if you were not afraid? Right now, what would your life, your job, your relationships look and feel like if you could be unapologetically you? What's holding you back? This podcast is for anyone that wants to make a change but isn't sure where to start. Let's look inward together and let's talk about you and me, our mental health, our self-care, inner and outer selves, and all that makes us, well, us. It's time to get real, feel the feels, challenge what's holding us back, and connect. This is the Authentic and Brave podcast.
Well, welcome to the podcast, Robin.
Hi, I'm so excited to be here, Beth. Thank you for inviting me.
I'm so excited that you're here. First, just starting out, why did you agree to come on the Authentic and Brave podcast?
Wow. Well, I love your passion. I love your mission of just being authentic and brave and stepping out, just being almost 50. I'll be 50 later this year. But when I turned 40, it was all about being even more authentic than I already was, and definitely being braver and stepping out of my comfort zone. So when I saw the name of your podcast, because I knew you before the podcast was created, and I was just like, she's so genuine, like this is perfect. And I could not imagine anything better than coming onto a podcast about being authentic and brave. I mean, that's just awesome. Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm. We have known each other a little while, and you definitely were one of the people I talked a little bit about the podcast with before I started it. When you said like your authenticity has grown, or you've been able to step more into your authenticity. For you, what does it mean to be authentic?
Oh, goodness. Well, one of the things is to care less what other people think. I mean, I have definitely come in that background and was raised in that, like, not that I was being fake ever, because authenticity is just so big for me. I mean, from when I was raising my kids that were little, I mean, they're like mid-20s now, but, is just about teaching them to be authentic and be true to yourself. But what I noticed when I hit like 40 is that I just started caring less what other people thought, and just being braver to step out of maybe the norm, to step out of my comfort zone, because that was my norm. And so I just started spreading my wings bigger and, and just being like, okay, I'm quirky, because I talk about on my podcast, I talk about how I'm very artsy on one side, and then I'm very stats and numbers and all the things. So it's kind of that left brain, right brain type situation. And I don't fit in a box. And that's one of the things that I really like and that I really push. So that just helps me to be even more and more authentic that way.
For those that are listening, can you tell us a little bit about what you do and kind of how you got here and how you've spread your wings in the last few years?
Yes, definitely. So about 7 years ago, my youngest was graduating high school, and I knew that I was going to be stepping into a different world of motherhood. And at the same time, I started praying. I was like, Lord, just guide me and show me what are the ways that you want me to move into this chapter of life. And so prior at that point, I had been a school counselor for almost 20 years. And so that was my life between a mom, a counselor, a wife. Those were my identities. And so as I moved into this, it was in 2016, when I moved into a different direction, I was able to lean more into my strengths, into my different strengths, other than school counseling, because I love that. And I mean, teenagers are my jam, so it's just it was hard to leave in that regard, but I knew that I was supposed to be moving in a different direction. And so, kind of crazy story. I walked into a dance class. I cannot dance worth a lick, but I walked into a dance class with a coworker, and long story short, met the instructor, and we became the best of friends. And we just connected. She could dance amazing. I can't dance a lick, but she made me feel accepted and connected there. And so it was just, God used that moment to then take me to the next step of, she's a health coach. And she was like, Robin, I kind of want to take my business online. I want to take my local business and move it online to help and serve even more. And I had never, ever at this point done anything what I do now, and that is build websites, build email marketing, build funnels, understand marketing even better, know that branding is so much more than your logo and your colors, and just understanding the whole picture. And so this gave me the opportunity to go, okay, I don't know how to do this, but we're going to go figure this out, And that's exactly what I did. Is I was very blessed to come across a number of other entrepreneurs that would help me along the way as well. And they would teach me and do different things. But of course, then you take courses and all the things to figure stuff out too, as well. And so this just, fast forward maybe 3 or 4 years later. So just about 3 years ago, my friend, her name is Lisa, and she said, Robin, you should be doing this for more people. And I said, no. That was my first response.
Yes.
I said, no, because we just had such a great friendship, but also at the same time, I was still felt like I was learning my skills a little bit better, and I was understanding things and stuff like that. And so then about a year after she first approached me and encouraged me to do that, I was like, okay, I think I might be ready. So I started stepping out, and the end of 2020, I started stepping out and doing a little bit more, separate from just working with her and working with more clients. And it's just been an amazing ride. The more coaches, because I really love working with online coaches and course creators, coming from that education background, they just have the similar mindset as I do, whatever their background is. And so that is where now I get to work with clients that, building that business, starting from scratch, is many of my clients where they have this idea, they have this desire, they have this skill, this knowledge, and they're like, but how do I make those people online know I have this and know that I can do this? And so being able, it's almost like going back to being that school counselor. I would work with those kids and help them understand that they can do this, that they might be struggling, because I worked with a lot of struggling, whether it was academically or, mental health or whatever, but just giving them that hope. And so now in this chapter of life, I'm being able to work primarily with women. I have worked with some gentlemen, but primarily with women, and just them going, I want this, but I don't know if I can. I don't know how, and I don't know if I can. And I'm like, let me show you. Let me show you how to do this. So that's kind of like how it got started and to where I am now. And it's just, every day is different. And I love that.
Are you tired of feeling held back by fear? It's time to break free and live life unafraid. Are you ready to get real? Spend some time journaling and coloring to face what's holding you back? Introducing the 30 Days to Unafraid Coloring Affirmation Journal. Color away and process your fears with empowering mandalas for self-care. This journal is your roadmap to conquering fear and embracing change with confidence. Don't let fear control your life any longer. Order your copy of 30 Days Unafraid today and take the first steps towards a life without limits. Visit www.authenticandbrave.com/unafraid or find the journal 30 Days Unafraid Coloring Affirmation Journal on Amazon. It's time to unleash your potential and live unafraid. Get your copy now.
What I hear in that, and tell me if I'm kind of hearing it correctly, in your job as a school counselor, you helped kids and adolescents kind of see themselves for who they are and help them express it. Now you help business owners or people who are considering starting a business. Like you said, have an idea and they're ready to go, but they need some help visualizing it and seeing themselves and the visibility, not just to other people, but also to themselves. I'm kind of hearing like a very similar relationship, just in a different type of job.
Right. Exactly.
Amazing.
I mean, that is it. And it's really like I created that connection just probably within this year. Earlier this year, I was like, oh my goodness, like now it's not, because I've always been, before I became a school counselor, I had my own struggles academically. And I thought that it was that I couldn't do something. I had people around me that loved me and supported me in different ways, but it was more about like, oh, it's okay that you can't do that, instead of encouraging me. Because in school or later in my 30s, I realized I'm ADHD and dyslexic. Okay. And so in high school, I performed academically pretty poorly with an ACT score of 14 and took 5 years to finish high school. And actually, I had educators tell me, oh, don't waste your time filling out the, documents to go to school and go to college because that's not the place for you. And I don't know. I'm not a rebellious person, but that kind of made me rebellious. And made me go, whoa, wait a second. And so needless to say, I didn't listen. And by the time I got to my 10-year class reunion, I had my bachelor's in psychology, a master's in school counseling, and a master's in industrial organizational psychology, and a career.
That rebellion really worked.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's why when people tell me I can't do something when it's something for the good, and I'm just like, wait a second, I'm going to figure out and make it happen. So that's where I think my heart comes from, just people coming, not in a hateful way by any means. They just didn't know any better. And, being able to say, but wait a second, you can, let's figure it out. Let's figure out how to get you to what you want.
That resonates so much with me. I mean, I think so often we're told by people who have good intentions, oh, maybe you shouldn't do that, or you have a different trajectory, or maybe you're not ready to start a business or to go to school. And a lot of people then get stopped and say, oh, they must be right, rather than being able to kind of say, okay, feel how you feel about what they've said, but then say, who am I? What do I want? What do I want to accomplish? Do I think that they're right? Or is there another alternative?
Right. Right. Exactly. And that's the thing, is that, it's like because I can definitely get stuck in my head. I am definitely a thinker, and some of my closest friends, when I'm like trying to figure out maybe how to launch a course or something, because there's so many different pieces. And I'm like, I could do this or I could do this, but maybe I could do this. And so it's so funny because they'll step in and be like, Robin, stop thinking, just go and do what you know to do. But some people can't get out of that thinking or get out of that self-doubt. And so it's a continuous thing. You just kind of learn new coping mechanisms of how to navigate out of it.
Are you a fan of young adult fiction, magic, and adventure? Then you won't want to miss Kindreds, the thrilling new fantasy novel from author B.B. Russell. Join our heroine, 16-year-old Lila, after the death of her last living relative, when she reconnects with a boy named Joey from her childhood who harbors a secret. Needing to know what it is, Lila follows him and finds herself in Carnival Noliana, a disappearing world of magic and wonder, hidden just beyond the veil of the ordinary that is looking for 10 new members. With Noliana set to disappear at the end of Masquerade in 4 days, Lila must decide if she should follow her heart and Joey into Noliana for good, or trust her instincts and intellect that Noliana may not be what it seems. With unforgettable characters, a battle between listening to one's head or one's heart, and heart-pounding action, Kindreds is the perfect choice for anyone who loves young adult fantasy. So don't wait, pick up your copy today and embark on an epic adventure you won't soon forget. Kindreds by B.B. Russell is now available at your favorite bookstore. Or at www.authenticandbrave.com/kindreds, KINDREDS.
One of the things you mentioned when you first started talking was you knew it was time for something new. So somebody from the outside would see, you had many years as a school counselor and that you're successful and kids love you and you have a great job and you've made it, right? That's where you're going to stay till you retire. But you said there was something in you that knew you needed something different or that it was time to go. Can you talk just a little bit about like what that internal feeling or what that internal process was?
Yes. So actually, the funny thing is that when I started my career as a school counselor, I told my husband, I said, give me 15 years because I probably will not be retiring from this. And I just was like, I had no clue what that was. I really this was never on my radar. I just knew that I always loved to do something different. I always loved to learn. I always loved to try different things. And so in that 15 years, I was in 3 different school settings. So it was 3 different places. It's kind of new, different people, different roles and stuff like that. And it was just when that time came, with my daughter and getting ready to go to college. And then I was going to be in this role of, I don't have softball practice. I don't have band practice. I don't have all of these roles because I was still going through all those with her and things in that realm. And I just felt in my heart that, again, I was kind of getting over 40 years old at that same time. And it's so funny because I hear women more and more now that it's like that 40 kind of breaks it where you spread your wings, whether it's your health, whether it's your business, whether it's your mindset, there's just something there that happens. And so, it was just kind of that whole knowing that I needed something new. I needed something that was maybe more about me and digging into me and not so much what other people thought I should be doing. And so it was just kind of a crazy, weird transition that as I sit back and as I write my brand story or put content on my website and stuff, I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm still amazed at where 7 years ago to now. I was talking to my good friend, Lisa. I'm really connected to her family. And I was actually talking to her mom the other day and her mom knows she's watched me go through all of this and everything. And she goes, Robin, when I see you put content out there and, build your website and the information you put on there, she goes, but I remember when that was not the case. And I was like, you're exactly right. And so it's just kind of, we have to stop and think a lot of times about where we are from where we were. And not so worried about, we're not here yet. And so as an entrepreneur and working, especially with newbies, primarily or 0 to 3 years into their business, to their online business, maybe they had a brick and mortar, but online business, then it's like, I have to remind them, no, you might not be over here having 6 figures yet, but think about where you are from where you were when this was just an idea in your head. And so those are, I don't know, that's just kind of the pivot that, I took, and still amazed that I'm going down this road, but excited.
Well, and I hear a couple of things. I hear connection. You've met some people in your life who have been maybe a few steps ahead of you.
Totally.
Also people who recognize who you are and are challenging you a little bit. Like, okay, come on, you can do more than this if you choose to. You don't have to, but I see something in you that is there that they kind of highlight. And then also some reflection on like, okay, making peace with this is where I was. I don't know where I'm going to be, but this is where I am. And it's okay to be visible. It's okay to put yourself, on a podcast. I mean, this is challenging. It's challenging to come on someone else's and to create your own and show up consistently. And I think that's kind of a metaphor as well of like showing up consistently for ourselves. It's not just about online. And then you, in turn, the service that you provide to people and helping them show up as well.
Right. Exactly. It is. Mm-hmm. It's just kind of, you wrapped it up so well. You did so well. I was like, wow, she's good at this. Definitely. Mm-hmm. It has. It's just been a journey, even especially in the school system. Whether I did Sunday school teaching or, elementary school and stuff like that, was the golden rule, and talking about treating others the way you want to be treated. Mm-hmm. And so as I build different services, different products and things, I'm like, what would I have wanted when I was over here? Yeah. What would I have needed when I was over here? And it's so interesting because I just see it. So I think back to, because I was in their shoes, I think back to that, but I see time and time again, before I even speak that to my clients, they are the exact same way. It's like I'm hearing what they need and being able to actually support them in those kinds of different ways. And it's just so fulfilling. And I mean, it's my job as a school counselor. I loved getting it up and going to school. I loved seeing their little faces. And I loved being able to, now some of those first graders are 25-year-olds that are taller than me. I loved all of those moments. Yeah. It just was a time for a new chapter. It was just time to move in a different way. And so it's been great.
Yeah. Well, and I hear that part of you that just gave yourself permission to want something different, and that it was okay. Yes. You said, like you said to your husband, I might not be in this job 15 years from now, but just allowing change to happen. I think sometimes we resist it so much. And then it's that brave action of like, I don't know where this is going to take me, but I'm going to try.
Totally. Yeah. You're exactly right. And it, that bravery is just sometimes the hardest. Being authentic seems like it's kind of more natural and easy, but being brave and doing that uncomfortable type situation, because what I also just know is that we don't grow in our comfort zone. It's when we get brave enough to step out and actually do maybe at least one little thing, whether it is come on a video podcast or whether it is do a 10-second reel that you're talking into, whatever those baby steps of being brave look like to what that end goal is. But you're right in the sense that there's so many people that won't even let themselves dream or envision something bigger because they think, oh, I can't. So it's first they have to see it, then have to kind of figure out, okay, what do I need to do to actually step out and do that?
And I hear you saying you work with people who are now allowing themselves to dream and need some support, need a little bit of direction, need a little bit of help. You said branding, you said more than just a logo, more than just picking your colors. And so part of your service really is to meet people when they're at that little bit one step past visionary dreaming.
Yes. Usually the ones that come to me, and actually how I started so much into now with coaching and my courses, and I'm about to launch a membership, is because I had people coming to me that were like, I want you to build me a website. They thought that was their first step of being an online business, is I need a website. And so many a times I would go back and I would talk about, and I'd be like, okay, so what does it look like on social media for you? I'm not like this massive social media guru, but we all know you need to have a presence on social media. They wouldn't maybe even have the knowledge to know What's the difference between an Instagram feed and an Instagram story? Some of the basics they were missing. And then I would go, okay, on that website, what copy do we want to put on there? What kind of information? What are we going to tell people that you're doing and who you are and how you do it? They were at a loss.
Yeah.
And so then I would be like, okay, so tell me what you're going to do, what you want to do. And they would have massive knowledge about whether it is, I'm going to teach guitar lessons and I'm going to be able to do this, or I want to be a health coach because I had my own health story, but I don't know how to put that into words.
Yeah.
And so I just saw these different issues over and over again that I'm going, we're not ready for that tech stuff. We're not ready for a website. There's these other pieces that you can do and you can put in place to get yourself out there for people to see you, for you to start bringing money in. Website is amazing and it's great, but to make it purposeful and useful, it needs to have so many other foundational pieces. That's not the answer to the problem or their next chapter. And so that is kind of why I started leaning into going, I need to be there to support the ones that have this idea and they want to make this impact. They want to go out there and change lives, whatever that looks like. But there's this transition of so many pieces that come in between.
Yeah.
So, yes.
So someone listening who is thinking of starting an online business and they're like, oh, Robin would be a great resource. I'd love to hear more about her courses or her membership. Where can they find you?
Yes. Okay. So they can find me at my website, Robin Kent. So Robin with 2 B's, ROBBIN. KENT.com. And you can come over there and find out more about me, hear about my story. And then also, of course, on Instagram, I am at Robin K. Kent. So Robin still with 2 B's. And then, of course, also on Facebook, I'm Robin Knight Kent. So you can find me over there as well. But if you get to my website, you can then find everything else. So that might be the easiest.
And I will link all of your information as well on the podcast website so people can find you. Robin, thank you so much. I feel so blessed to have had you part of my entrepreneurial journey. Your willingness to help me out, to be on the podcast. I'm so excited to see how your membership develops and how we both continue to move through this journey. And I'm just so thankful that you agreed to come on the podcast today.
Thank you so, so much. And it's been such an honor. And just, I know our personalities are so similar, so it's going to just see where we go and who goes with us. So,
yes.
all right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to the Authentic and Brave podcast. I want to remind our listeners that the content of this podcast is not a substitute for professional therapy or medical advice. The information shared in this podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only. If you are experiencing mental health issue or any other medical concern, we strongly encourage you to seek help from a licensed professional. The National Alliance on Mental Illness, also called NAMI, helpline is a great resource and can be reached at 1-800-950-NAMI. or 1-800-950-6264. Thanks so much for tuning into the Authentic and Brave podcast. If you want more, head over to the AuthenticandBravePodcast.com for show notes and sign up for the mailing list so you'll never miss an episode. If you're looking for inspiration, connection, and people like you and me, be sure to join my exclusive community on Facebook. The link's waiting for you at AuthenticandBravePodcast.com. This is Dr. Beth Russell signing off. See you next time.